retired, leaving Korea, and came back, and it was tough.
Welcome to the Healed Circle. All right, so this is what
I can tell you the difference.
Okay, yeah, tell me the difference. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Healed with Seth the Speaker. Hopefully everything is good with you and you are calm and enjoying this nice weather. And wherever you are right now, if you have the opportunity to see this pretty face, you are alive, right? So clap it up for yourself, all right? Yeah. Okay. But look, do me a favor. Let me know that you're here. Chime in. You can type in and make sure you subscribe. So the reason for Healed, if this is your first time, the reason for Healed is to have either a one-on-one conversation with you or with a guest to talk about all things healing to ultimately get to healed. You never know what you're going to learn, and you never know what hurt you may be dealing with. The thing is to recognize that the individuals that you are around may not be the ones that hurt you. So how about you stop bleeding on those folks? You get what I mean? Take care of you and take care of that. So that's what Healed is for, to help you. Now, the flip side, the way that you can help Healed and to help this production, you can always go to Patreon and support it, right? So Patreon.com/Healed. What I do there is not only give you exclusive content, but give you extra training, right? One-on-one. It's like having your own coaching on demand. Hey, what's going on? How you feeling? How you feeling, ma'am? Always in Jamaica somewhere, y'all. Look, she's a traveler. But anyway, that's what I do. So if that's something that you want to help out and support, I would love it. And you get a little bit more perks, but you can only see that if you go to the site. So again, y'all, make sure you go to patreon.com/heal. All right. So you can get some of that goodness. All right. Now, this young lady that's getting ready to come on, y'all. I met her a couple of weeks ago in Maryland and for a speaking engagement, and her story was incredibly moving. It caught me within the first 5 seconds because of the delivery. But outside of that, the authenticity of who she is as an individual resonated with me because of the truth. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell when individuals are healed and healing and avoiding it, if that makes sense. Because sometimes individuals have all the right words to say, but you can just feel, right? It's like the vibes. You're like, wait a minute, something ain't right. It look good, sound good, but you're still struggling. So here you are trying to give me something that you're not even taking for yourself. So as I listened to what she said, hey, good morning. When I listened to what she said, I was like, wait a minute, she got it. Okay. When you're healing, ladies and gentlemen, you exude a certain presence about yourself. You have a different outlook on life, but that outlook, individuals can see it the way that they look at you. And I can see this in her. So just to give you a quick description, because she's doing a lot of amazing work. She is bold. And let me let you know what that means. She's a believer, overcomer, leader, and destiny grabber. You understand what I'm saying? So what she does is she helps uplift women. She shares her encounters of 4 years in the prison cell and mental incarceration stages, right, across the nation to inspire and uplift all. All right. She's authored 7 books dedicated to healing and forgiving. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome Miss Kyonna, without the E, F Brown. Yeah, how you doing?
I am excellent. Good morning, and thank you for having me. I didn't even know that you got all of that. I said, "Oh, I made him, think about all of that." Okay, God.
Won't he do it? But yes. See, the good thing is, like I said, when you're listening to individuals and they're in certain situations, it's the mouthpiece is good, but when that God in them speaks to the God in you, that connection, like we was talking about earlier, like, wait a minute, there you go. Hey, I know if I could get that little, what I'm saying, that was a little, hold on, this way was. I knew that that was something that could be shared. You understand? Amen. So how are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. And, I just love the fact that you talked about how you can tell where a person is in their developmental stages of working on healing, going through healing, and being healed. I like to think of healing as an ever-going process. I've learned that because I've healed in one situation or scenario in my life, it doesn't mean that I'm done. There is always a multifaceted thing going on in our life that we need to heal from. Like even in relationships, you can think or know that you've healed in an area. And I'll use my father for an example. I have forgiven him, but then, having conversations with him over the past couple of years, I was, wait a minute, something else there. It's something else there. I let that thing go, but it's something else that we still have to work on. And so to have the acknowledgement that even though, that process has taken place, that there's still more work to do. And I just want to encourage people to continue the work of healing in your lives.
I love it. I love it. And what I take away from that is so much. First, let me let individuals know I see y'all watching, which is so dope. You're even giving some acknowledgement. That is super, super dope too. But what you can do, you hit this little share button. Bing! It takes no time. All right, stop acting funny style. Share this good news. Now, going back to what she said, you're absolutely right. It's almost like, how many times do you vacuum your floor? One time and that's it? No, silly, because there's always going to be something there on the floor. That is your floor. And you never know what's in different sides of the corner. Because when I think about it, it's almost like when you drop by mistake a piece of glass, right? Like a glass, and you pick up the big pieces. You see, but when you're walking, just like you said today, you did some grounding work, right? Walking on the dirt and everything. It's certain things that you may not see, but then you feel it like, wait a minute, that's still there. What's going on? Who did that? You said, where that come from? But no, that's absolutely right. So tell individuals a little bit about you before we dive on in.
Okay. Well, as he said already, my name is Kyonna F Brown, and I deem myself to be the forgiveness expert. And the reason that is because I know that through the process of working to become an expert, that means that I am going to continuously go and do that thing. And so my goal is to not just be an expert all by myself, but to help a community of people become experts, because that is the way that we are going to move from a broken place into a healed place, into a place of love and joy and peace and just fun and just on the other side. Like if you could just bridge the gap from who you thought you were to who God created you to be, that life would be so much more meaningful. And so that ultimately is who I am, what I do. It's my goal. And I not only do it in the aspect of man to man, woman to woman, but also with animals. I am also a pet care specialist, and I work with pets Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and I'm offering them forgiveness through the gift that God has allowed for me to connect. And that's an amazing thing in itself, to be able to work with a creature who you cannot talk to, and get from one place of them being scared and not comfortable with being in your presence, till you read the notes over the years, and this dog is not even the same dog that you wrote about before.
Hold on. 1 minute, real quick. Did you say forgiveness?
Forgiveness.
Goodness gracious. That is, it's corny, but I get it. You said through
but
forgiveness.
it is, a lot of times people don't take care of their pets the way that they're supposed to. And my goal is to take care of that pet holistically, the whole pet. And a lot of people, you know, oh, I just want the haircut. I want it colored. I want, you know, these cute little things. But there are a lot of things that I do as a groomer to help your pet be healthy from the inside out.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we are here. We're here. Hit the share button. Y'all subscribe. We're about to dive in a little bit deeper with Miss Kyonna, right? She's experienced some things, and just like we all have. But what I love about this situation right now in this conversation is not about what happens to you. It's about what happens for you, right? So if you don't mind telling individuals, giving that magic number.
Yes, 1,460 days. I woke up as an incarcerated female in the prison system, where what I knew as life had been stripped away from me. But as a result of it, I realized that I was already there before I was even bound in physical chains.
Do tell. What does that mean?
So, you know, when you're locked up and you have those chains on you, there is a key that the officer has, and the key sticks into the hole. The key is about this big, right? But for me, being in that prison cell, I didn't know that before I got there, I had the key all along. And that key, you see the size of the key, was my mindset. The way that I thought held me captive. It allowed for my emotions to run rampant. It led me into promiscuity. It led me into drug addiction. It led me into alternative lifestyles because I didn't know how to use my own key. Our keys are very powerful. Our mind is a very, very tool. What you believe is what you'll be. And until I truly learned to love me and believe in me and put God first, that's the thing that changed. That is the whole catalyst that changed my life around. And so no longer did I have to be incarcerated because I was in a prison cell. In all honesty, that was the freest I had ever been in my life, because I was in an uninterrupted place where my mind could be clear. I didn't have to worry about a bill. I didn't have to worry about a relationship. I didn't have to worry about going to a job. I was then able to go back in time. You ever sit down and journey back through time and like really pay attention to where you've been? Like replay that movie. It's just like when you're looking at a movie, you have a favorite movie. You watched the movie before. Oh, that's a good movie. Let me look at that movie again. And when you look at that movie again, you see some things that you didn't see the first time. Even the second or the third time that you watch it, you find things that you didn't see. And so now, as a result of having that uninterrupted time, I was able to reconnect with the source. And then as I did that, I became freer in my spirit. And so I could now see the picture much clearer. I could now see the things that were connecting the dots that led the journey that I went on. And so I had to develop a plan to not go back there. I had to figure out a way to not allow for myself to become incarcerated again. And so that's what prison did for me. It wasn't all roses, you know, prison is prison. But for me, I made it a place of change. I made it my reconstructing camp. And that is how I was able to come home and accomplish the things that I have done. Not just the things that you see on paper, but the things that have been done inside of my heart.
I love it. I love it. You know, you said some things I want to touch on real quick. First thing I would say to individuals that's listening, because she found that quiet space, we're not condoning, hey, let me go and take a vacation in prison real quick to get my mind right. Don't you do that, okay? You find your own, all right? Do it where you're at, if that makes sense. You ain't got to be out of line to get some free time, right? Or to free your mind, right? Want to free my mind? No, that ain't what you want to do. However, you also said something that really makes sense that I want to, I I guess, touch on a little bit more. When you take some time out and look at the things of the past again with a different level of awareness, you start to see different things over and over again. But you know what? It reminds me of the movie Color Purple. When I first saw that movie, I was young. It was just only certain things that I remember, laughed at. And then the older I became and watched it, those things that I used to laugh at, now I cry. Or now I can say, wait a minute, this is real. Then, even as I go higher in understanding, I see this as a teaching tool and things to prevent in my own life. So if you discard those things, you won't be able to utilize those tools to help to reconstruct and to help frame a better future. So that's absolutely great. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all are tuning in. You're sharing this and sharing this. But yes, absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you this. When did you Oh yeah, see, yeah. So yeah, that color purple is a trip, but we have those same things in our mind, and we have those same things going on in our families and just in our certain surroundings. But we have to be able to want to elevate to see those things differently and understand that those things happen for us. So here's a question for you, ma'am. What was it that was your pivotal point in saying, okay, I need to get this together? Was it while you were in, or you had signs before you got in, but the things that you did just caught up with you? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, no, there were signs before. And so, you know, for me, I was raised in a God-fearing home. I went to church every Sunday, the good Sunday school, on the choir, on the usher board. You know, I had summer camps with church camps, all of those things, right? And I first had the presence of the Lord come on me in my teenage years. And I can remember that moment. You know, I remember being in that church down south, and it's just all of that is just like with me. And so all of the things that I did before prison was a way of escaping my emotions. I didn't want to deal with my emotions. And so as a result of that, yeah, I did get into trouble. I did do things. And, you know, I had elders, my mom, things like that, you know, talking to me. You know, one of the relationships I was in was with the person that was close to the age of my mom. And she's like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, I wanted to do me. I wanted to be free. And the being free was not a being free of her. I wanted to be free of my mom, but I wanted to be free from the pain. And so what I did was I smoked weed. I used ecstasy pills. I drank. You know, I did PCP. Just about anything and everything to escape who Kyonna was, because I didn't really know who Kyonna was. And I wanted to escape the idea, the facade that I had of me, because there was not love for me. And so there were signs, there were different things that I went through that said, hey, Kyonna, you need to get yourself together. You need to get back on track. You need to change. But I was so focused on being rebellious of what was trying to help me that I severed myself. And then God said, you know what? You're not listening. I am talking to you. And so it wasn't until I was in prison that I realized, because I got upset. I got really upset, you know, because you know, like I said, I grew up in a church, and my grandmother told me, she said, if you pray to God, you know, he's going to work it out. Well, why am I still sitting in this cell? Why am I still here? I thought you loved me. I was angry with God. And in that very moment, it was a small, still voice said, I didn't leave you. You was what started the replay of the movie. That started the buffering. You know, everything started to come back. And so I was able to look at all of those different things that I did where he saved me, where I went on blind dates with people I didn't even know. Where I was at college in Tuskegee University, and I went off campus with some the people who lived in the town off up in the country somewhere, where I was at a train station going back to in Birmingham, Alabama, and left with this senior guy who looked to be like my grandfather, took me back to what almost seemed like an abandoned house. I look at TV now today and I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Why are they doing, like the what is the movie, the series with the guy that was killing the people?
Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
I'm looking at that like, what are you thinking? But then I had a moment and said, Kyonna, well, what were you thinking? So all of those things came back to me. And I had to realize that it was me who was running away. And so I couldn't run anymore. That prison was like a dead end wall. Like there's nowhere else to go. And so that's when I started to reconnect with God. That's when I started to have quiet time. That's when I started to tap back into the gifts, because the blessing was in the gifts, but all of those gifts had died.
See,
I used to play the piano when I was in prison. They had a piano in the recreation center. And I was working in the kitchen at that point in time. And I went in and asked them, I said, well, what are you guys doing with, can anybody come in and play the piano? And they said, oh, you know how to play the piano? I said, yes. They said, well, write us a syllabus. I said, write you a syllabus. I said, okay. So I went and regained all my memory about everything I knew about music and the piano and wrote a syllabus. And guess what my job became? The piano teacher for recreation in the prison system on campus. So now you're having to do strenuous work in the kitchen, work over here, work the grounds, work the yard. And God allowed for the gift to come back to alive. And I was able to have a place where I could have solitude and peace from the gift that he gave me.
Love it. Love it. You know what? Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you everybody for tuning in, right? We're talking about the healing journey with Miss Kyonna. And so she just elaborated how she was able to find her gifts again, even through prison, which was super, super dope. And I believe that individuals forget that it's not the incarceration of the body, like you're saying, it is of the mind. And I'm going to flip it a little bit and ask you this. Do you think, by and large, that is what's happening on the outside, meaning society-wise, social media and things of that nature? Individuals do not understand that they're still stuck, right? They are shackled and they're looking for that key through other people, you see? And when they look for that key and it doesn't fit, they still going around in circles and circles, and then they start to disconnect, like we talked about before, disconnect from the source. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think that ought to be true. And I can say that is extremely prevalent in the world. And I can only speak from personal experiences, and I'll speak on behalf as being a speaker, right? I was introduced to being an author. God had told me to write my story. I chickened out and wrote a pet care book, but then he brought it back around and I told my story, and I was able to do that in a collaboration. Well, honey, that opened up a whole entire world for me, because all I knew about was grooming dogs. I did not know that there was a world where people were speaking and they were getting paid for it and they were right. I didn't know anything about that. I've had some amazing coaches, but at the end of the day, some people will give you a module and then you try to follow this module and then you start to look like them, then you start to talk like them, you're dressing like them, you're walking like them. And then one day I said, this is not you. And so when you saw me and you saw how I showed up to speak, nobody there knew I was a speaker. I had one lady come up to me and say, I just thought that you were a part of the audience. Well, one thing that I've learned is, for one, I don't want to be on with y'all. We together. We're together. And so I make it my business to be in the audience. I make it my business to be comfortable and enjoy. Like, I got notes from you. I'm not going to be the speaker that doesn't pay attention to the other speakers, because some speakers will have the mindset that, they know it all. And so I learned a tremendous amount from you. I got a great deal. I was like, okay, and I'm a clap for you like I'm in this, because you was real. I really enjoyed, what you brought to the environment. And I had to be like, I'm not wearing heels. That ain't me.
Right.
Give me some blinged out kicks so I can walk across it so that when I'm done, I'm not like, oh my God, my feet hurt. No. And so I had to learn that I had to walk in my true authenticity, because that's what's going to connect real. I'm not an imitation. I'm not a carbon copy. I am an original. And so I had to learn to be me. I had to learn to be me. And so there are so many people that are lost in the glitz, the glam, and my whole thing is there's times where I've had events, like virtual events and things of that nature, and I might have not got the outcome that I wanted. And I said, God, if you send the one, I will serve that one as if it was a million. Because it's all about what the message of God is and how he's trying to work through me. We talked about it earlier, when we had our pre-convo. I am not the source. I am. And so as I am the extension, I have to make sure that I am, working in that capacity. And a lot of us, people see other people's plug and they want to be that plug. No, be you. And that's how people get lost.
Listen.
That's how they get lost.
Oh, no, wait. You know what? You said something that I love. I love and understanding that we all have our talent, skills, and abilities are just an extension of the source. We are a resource, not the source. And so when other individuals are looking for that, if they're looking for it in other people, that's not right to a degree. You can become inspired. Okay, you can be inspired, right? But it's not for you to be that carbon copy, like you said. How can you see something and say, you know what? I love that. Let me not reinvent the wheel, but put my own air in the tire. You get what I mean? How do I do that? And so I love that. And it's unfortunate when some individuals want to do certain things just like someone else, thinking that they're going to get the same outcome. And what makes me think that individuals are more attracted to the outcome than the input, their own input, because they don't trust it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you said, they're afraid, they're running away from their all authenticity. Like, okay, if you don't like the sound of your voice already, you're going to gravitate to someone else's voice that you like and try to mimic that because you like that, right? But indirectly, you're still not being you.
Yeah.
Right. So
here's the thing.
It starts within and then out. Go ahead.
People don't realize this. And I told on this on Monday on a prayer call about idolatry. You don't know how easily you liking something can turn into idolizing, which is a sin. And so when we walking out here and we trying to be like the next big and that this and they're over there, you're not even aligning with the will of God. So how you think that's gonna work? I'm just saying.
Hey, listen, it's not arithmetic. However, I think that it's our responsibility, all right, to do things like this. Again, everybody that's on, we appreciate y'all being on. Give us a hashtag I can dig it if this makes sense to you, right? Let us know that this makes sense. But this is an opportunity and just an example of doing what you can naturally do for you, for your space, and still to connect with the world, right? Individuals are looking for numbers, they're looking for analytics and likes and loves and all of these subscriptions as far as a level of validation. That's false, right? It's just little drops of dopamine. Boop. Ooh, I feel good for a minute, and then that's it. No, you're right. How are you pouring into people? Seriously, how are you pouring into folks? Because other than that, you're tripping. Like you said, be yourself, right? And don't be afraid of yourself. Listen, you if you keep running from it, you're gonna die eventually. You get what I'm saying? You can't hide from it. It's gonna catch you, right? So you might as well enjoy it. So listen, before we go, I want you to yes, it's very real. What I want you to do is explain to individuals how they can start their healing journey.
Okay. All right. So let's look at this and let's be serious about it, because what we're going to do is we're going to reveal some things, right? And how do you reveal anything? My husband, he works, he used to work as a heavy equipment operator. Now they done elevated him and he like the boss and telling everybody else what to do. But he used to do the excavating machine. Right. And there was a whole way that he had to to dig up and to put the trench in and to have a firm foundation. But before he could have that firm foundation, he had to remove some dirt so he could really see what was there. And so before you can get to rebuilding, because a lot of people want to go out there and you want to rebuild. You want to, do all this and you want to do that. And you haven't removed the dirt. You got to remove the dirt so you can see what's lying underneath of the surface before you even try to build your infrastructure. And so as you remove that dirt, once you see it, work on it piece by piece, because I promise you, you're going to go into a graveyard and you're going to find some things and you're going to look at it and it might seem massive. It might seem like there's no way that I can work through all of this, right? And so what you want to do is you want to do it piece by piece. And the way that I like to do that piece by piece is what is tearing you down or pulling you down the most. Work on the hardest thing first. Because then once you get the hard thing out the way, all that other stuff is going to, be real minute. It's going to be small because you've learned how to deal with the big thing. And then once you deal with that big thing, go ahead and release it. Poof, be gone. And then once you do that, let me tell you, you're going to walk around because you're going to feel good about what you did, because you're going to start to regain your confidence. And regaining your confidence can look like a plethora of things, because you might need to regain your confidence in relationships. Maybe you've been broken in an area where now you don't trust. So you're going to have to work on building your relationships again. That means don't run away from a comment that didn't make you feel so good. That means go into a conversation that is not going to make you feel so good. Right? So you got to learn to begin to grow in that area. What if, you've been in a situation where you've been hurt and it's like your health, right? Because I've hurt myself time and time again in the area of health. And it's very important and imperative that in today, especially in our culture, that we work on forgiving ourselves. And forgiving ourselves in that area looks like making sure you do the right thing. I've been on this love kick about yourself so strong this past week, because a lot of times we don't even love ourselves. And regaining our confidence in loving ourselves and taking care of our bodies is by putting the good things in, making sure that you take the time to take that walk in the morning, making sure that you take the time to sit still, right? Some people don't even think that sitting still is an exercise. It takes a lot to sit still, because once you sit still, not necessarily are you being still, because your mind is still going.
There you go.
You got to quiet everything down. And that is how you hear from the source, is when you quiet everything down. So taking the time to love you is a way that you're going to rebuild the confidence in taking care of your body.
So I like that. I like that. Not to cut you off real quick, but I didn't want to lose this because you hit on it and then you start going to a different spot, and it was super dope. But what I want to ask you is, what do you do when individuals want to invite you into a building that you know the foundation is out of line because they didn't excavate all that mess, but they're like, come on in, it's all fine. Hey, the water's nice, let's get it in. But you can see from the back end, something ain't right with that foundation. You see it's a little rickety, you see? So how do you, in love and without telling someone what they need to do, you just not necessarily compartmentalize them, but you kind of love them from a distance because you know they got some things they need to take care of?
Well, the one thing that I realize is that there is a lot said in silence. So I have become an awesome listener. And so not all the time when you see something, do you have to say something? You know, there's a statement, if you see something, say something. Okay, yeah, in some instances, if somebody's getting hurt, you know, say something. You know, if you need to call the police about situations, say something. But sometimes it's not always the place for you to say something.
It ain't always your business.
And then another way that you can get people to realize that their foundation is not that strong is by asking them thought-provoking questions. So you're not giving advice, you're not walking into the situation, but you're asking them a question so that they can become aware of what is around them. And so that's pretty much how I deal, you know, with situations like that. And then I love, you know, putting things on my daddy sometimes. So I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna pray about that.
I love it. I love
And then they ask me, well, he has not responded yet. I put everything, you know, they say, give it all to God. So that's me giving it to him. I'm gonna give it to him when he tells me to move, because I've learned to not move out of my flesh. I've learned to not move out of my emotions. I learned to move out of listening to God, because I have moved. I've gotten in trouble in business. I've gotten in trouble in relationships. I've gotten in trouble in life. I went to prison. Okay. So I learned how to listen to what my daddy telling me to do. And I am okay with the fact that you're not okay, that I'm waiting to listen to what God has to tell me, because that's not my problem.
Hold on. Listen. Woo! That was a word. I like it. I love it. And you know what I really like about this? You said it and I didn't have to. You see? So now all I have to do is hit the replay, say, hey, I want you to listen to something that around 38 minutes and 27 seconds. That's for you. Right on. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, Miss Portia? What's going on, everybody? Listen, y'all, I want to thank y'all for being on and with Miss Kyonna. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Man, oh man. So individuals can find you where?
You can find me on Facebook at Kyonna F Brown. I have 2 pages, a personal and a business that says Kyonna F Brown. Go to the personal. I'm personal. Come to the personal. If you want to follow the group Forgiveness Nation, you can do that. And that's where you can be a part of the healing. That's where you can comment, you can share, because we all have a journey through healing. If you want to get attached to some shows and some little short films that I've been able to do through the grace of God, you can find us on Forgiveness Nation Media on YouTube.
Nice, nice, nice. Thank you so much for being on. It was super dope. And listen, I know this is quick, y'all. We want to give you a little bit things, blah, 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 to get your day started. If you love this, please let us know. I love it. Hashtag I love this. Make sure you're subscribing wherever you are so you can make sure you get all of this goodness, and make sure you also follow her. All right, Kyonna, listen, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back, okay? So everybody, listen, this has been Healed, all right? And it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility. Like I said before, if you don't heal, all right, if you don't heal the hurt, you will eventually bleed over those individuals that did not hurt you. So it is a journey. It is a journey, but together we can do this. Don't forget, if you're interested in supporting this channel and supporting other individuals that are on the show, make sure you go to the Patreon, right? Patreon.com/Healed. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, everyone. And we will see y'all soon. Right on, right on.